On a serious note, obviously newly living the single life dad, and obviously there's a lot of single dads out there. Can you just talk to us a little bit what that experience has been like, and just anything you've learned already in that experience that would maybe encourage other single dads out there too, and then also like maybe like what is your kind of like longer term plan to make sure that you're co-parenting well and things like that. I don't know all the specifics of your situation, but whatever you're comfortable sharing, I think might really help the dads out there.
Yeah, so I was married for 12 years, and I was with her for 6 years before that. So we were together for 18 years. And I mean, obviously, I didn't expect this. I didn't want this. She wanted the divorce, which I got to preface this anytime I talk about it. This is nothing I say is to take away from anything that she experienced or like her truth. Her truth is her truth, and I believe it 100%. But if you look at like our situation, I didn't want to get divorced. I was ready to stay and deal with whatever it was that we needed to deal with. And we had been through so many difficult things in 18 years. Of course, you're going to go through some bad things, So like we had been through a lot, and I was willing to stay and see if we could get through it. But everybody reaches their point, and she reached her point, and so we got a divorce, and it was very difficult at first. You know what I mean? Like not knowing like what life is going to be like. For 18 years you're used to something. You get used to a routine, you get used to a person. I didn't think I was ever going to have to date again or think about dating again or anything like that. And then having kids really made it a lot more difficult. And it's still hard. My daughter, like I said, my daughter's 7, my son is 5. My son's more like it's not that he doesn't care. He's just like he handles it differently. My daughter struggles, even still now. She used to just cry and ask me like, why can't we be a family again, Daddy? While she was crying, it's hard for me to talk about, but I didn't know what tomorrow was gonna hold. You know what I mean? Like once I knew that this was happening, I just didn't know what life was going to be like. I was used to the same person, and I didn't want this. And so it's been one benefit, multiple benefits, but one benefit that I've had is that I've always been a hands-on dad. I've always been involved in every aspect of my kids' lives. And I say this when I talk to people, and I'm going to say it to you guys. So many dads out there give dads a bad name. You know what I mean? And it drives me crazy. It drives me crazy when I'm doing normal things that any parent should do, and somebody praises me for doing it. And I don't knock them. Like it's like they're being nice, but I hate that I'm getting praised because I'm holding my daughter's hand and walking down the street
like
with
table stakes.
Yeah.
It's like bare minimum. Yeah.
It's terrible. And like I say, most dads are sperm donors, and then there's the few dads that are actually dads. I'm a dad. You know what I mean? Aside from their mom giving birth and breastfeeding them and offering that nurture that like a mom offers, I can do everything that she can do, you know what I mean? And a level of nurturing that they get from their father. It's not just like tough love. I show them so much love and affection and stuff. So for me, that part wasn't hard, you know what I mean? It was watching them go through this and not knowing, what is happening. And at first we didn't know, my son was too young, but we didn't know if we should tell my daughter what was going on. So at first it was kind of like, let's just tell her, we're going to live separately and all this stuff. And she gets double the toys. But then, we talked to a therapist and stuff, and they were like, yeah, it's good to go ahead and let her know. And so we did. And again, she's still not over it. She still struggles with it. It's gotten easier. She's used to it. It's been 2 years. So she's acclimated, but it's just rough, man. It's like every day it's a conscious thing to just realize that like I have to keep that in mind, that they don't have mom and dad together. And so my experience is mine, but they have a completely different experience, how they're seeing it from their eyes. Luckily, we co-parent really, really well. So that hasn't been like, we always decided to put the kids before anything else. But I'll say that for me, the hardest part of this whole process, even getting over not having my wife anymore and being alone and all that stuff, the hardest part for me was knowing that eventually she would probably find another person, right? And knowing that there's going to be another man around my son and another man around my daughter. That is, I still haven't been able to grasp or deal with that. And I know I'm not dealing with it the right way. I know I'm being difficult and I'm not handling it like an adult. But it's been very, very hard for me to deal with that. Way harder than the divorce was. Way harder than losing my wife. Knowing that my kids are around another man. Having them come to me and talk about another man in scenarios that, like, you know, like he's there in the morning, or like, you know, just stuff that I just can't get a handle on. It's been really, that part has been really tough.
Do you have a support network of other men that you're able to talk with about this, or is this something you've mostly dealt with by yourself?
I've dealt with all of this by myself. I don't have very many friends. I mean, I talk to a lot of people, obviously, especially on X and stuff. But I have like two people that I consider like really close friends. Brock is one of them, who's great because you know, he's been a breath of fresh air in terms of like having another man there that I can like talk to these types of things about. And then I have another friend who's a female, but I guess that's the other aspect of this whole thing. It's kind of hardened me to everything outside of my kids. You know what I mean? Like when I have my kids, it's all them. And then when I don't have them, I'm here. I'm home. You know, I go to work, I come home, and I really don't go anywhere or do anything or talk to anyone outside of whatever stuff I do on social media, which for the most part is very surface level. You know what I mean? So no, I don't have anyone. I've dealt with this myself for 2 years, got myself through it, and God, obviously.
Dude, yeah, and I was actually going to segue into that. That's perfect that you said God. So, speaking from experience, divorce is not fun. But that being said, how has God played a role in how you have handled things and how you've handled your children? And what do you specifically lean on him for on like a daily basis?
Everything. God is everything to me. I mean, he's, if it wasn't for God, I wouldn't have been able to get through any of this. And my kids, obviously. But I fully believe that everything that happens is a part of a bigger plan that was written before I was ever thought of, even before I was ever conceived, before I was ever put on this earth. My destiny is already written. And so as hard as all of this has been, when it gets the worst, when I have no idea and I want to question everything, I go back to my faith and I go back to knowing that there is a reason that I'm going through this. And little by little, like I'm seeing things and discovering things, but you know, I'm human, so I still struggle with it. But without that faith, I don't know where I would be. But I know that God is a big part of my life. I pray every day, all day long. Like I'm constantly talking to God, and not just asking for things, but thanking Him, because I make sure to zoom out and be thankful for all of the blessings that I do have. You know, like even though I'm going through difficult times, or I've been through difficult times, and some days are harder than others, I still live a very blessed life. And so for me, it's like those two things, God and my kids, have been the way I've gotten through all of this.